Juan likes all sports, but basketball is his favorite. He practices with his dad every afternoon. This is Juan's friend, Josie. One day, Juan and Josie were playing softball together. Josie threw the softball, and whoosh, Juan missed. Juan started to tell himself that he wasn't good at it, and he'd never be able to hit the ball. He wondered if he would ever get good at softball. And then Juan thought about when he first started practicing basketball with his dad. He hadn't been good at first, but with each practice, he got better and better. Juan decided he was going to practice with Josie every day until he could finally hit the softball. So in our story today, Juan experienced a thing called fixed mindset and a thing called growth mindset. But what do these mean? Well, someone with a fixed mindset has a tendency to believe that skills and abilities are genetic, meaning that any kind of talent that someone has, they're born with it. And sometimes people who have a fixed mindset believe that the reason they're not good at anything is because they just don't have what it takes. Someone with a growth mindset believes that you have to put in the hard work and you have to do the learning in order to have talents and skills or be good at something. Someone with a growth mindset knows that you have to put in the work, and they're going to put in the work. Now, when Juan was playing softball with Josie, he thought for a while that he just wasn't good at softball. He wasn't born with the talent. But when he had time to sit down and think, he realized that the reason he was good at basketball was because he practiced with his dad every day. So, when he realized that, he was able to realize he could get better at softball. He just had to practice. Some of us do have a fixed mindset, myself included. Now, between you and me, guys, I'm not good at math. And in school, I really struggled with trying to get concepts and memorize equations and things like that. I just kind of thought that I wasn't great at math, and I would never be great at math. But one day I had a teacher who really encouraged me to do some extra studying. And I realized that while I may not really get everything about math, I can appreciate it. There are some things and some histories behind it that are interesting. You just have to keep learning and keep practicing. Let's do an exercise together. I'm going to read off a statement, and I would like for you to either draw a smiley face if it's a growth mindset statement, or a frowny face if it's a fixed mindset statement. Do you think you can do it? I think you can. For this exercise, you need something to draw with. Pencil, crayon, marker, and something to draw on, like a piece of paper. All right, you ready? Great. So, draw a smiley face if this statement is a growth mindset statement, or draw a frowny face if this is a fixed mindset statement. When something is hard, I want to work on it more. Is this a growth mindset statement or a fixed mindset statement? That's right. This is a growth mindset statement. Remember, growth mindset is thinking that you can get better at something if you do more learning and if you practice more. So when you say, when something is hard, I want to work on it more, you have a growth mindset. Let's try another one. I can always improve, so I keep trying. Draw a smiley face if you think this is a growth mindset statement, or a frowny face if you think this is a fixed mindset statement. Are you ready? This is another growth mindset statement. If you believe that you can always improve, then you're always going to keep trying. And if you always keep trying, you're going to improve. Let's do one more. Now remember, draw a smiley face if this statement is a growth mindset statement, or a frowny face if it's a fixed mindset statement. I give up when I make mistakes. Is this a growth mindset statement or a fixed mindset statement? Are you ready? This is a fixed mindset statement. Now, remember, people with a fixed mindset statement think that being good at something is a part of who you are. Your talents and skills are just something you're born with. So if you end up being bad at something, that just means you're not good with it and you should give up. Where people who have a growth mindset statement are always going to try and are always going to learn from their mistakes. Remember, guys, just because you make a mistake at something doesn't mean you're bad at it. It just means that there's more to learn and there's more room to grow. And you can always try and try again. The more you try, the more you learn, the better you get at something. And sometimes, whether we have a growth mindset statement or a fixed mindset statement, has a lot to do with the inner voice in our heads. Now, sometimes when we think about the mistakes we make, we can encourage ourselves to try again. But sometimes when we make a mistake, we just tell ourselves that we're no good. These thoughts are known as an inner voice. And it can seem like that voice telling us that we're no good or that we're doing really great is completely separate from us. But here's the secret, guys. We create those voices. We tell ourselves if we're doing great or if we're no good. And we can control what we tell ourselves. And here's the thing. Everybody has them. Everybody has a little voice in their head telling them if they're doing great or if they're doing bad. You're not alone if you have that voice telling you you're no good. Lots of people experience it. One of the best ways to get a handle on this is to talk with someone about them and write them down. Something you can do is talk to your adult about what you tell yourself and what your adult tells themselves. You can ask questions like, is there something your inner voice told you that you weren't good at, but you tried and were good anyway? You can ask about if the inner voice is calm or if there are times when it gets too loud and too negative. Talking about these things and writing some of these things down can help us see that we're not the only one who has these thoughts, and talking about them may be a great way to get a handle on this thing and change your thinking for the better. The water cycle is how water on Earth is recycled. There are 4 steps in the water cycle. Let's take a look at them. The first step is evaporation. Evaporation is when the sun heats up water in oceans, rivers, and lakes. The water turns to vapor and rises into the air. The second step is condensation. Condensation happens when the water vapor cools and forms clouds. The vapor becomes water again. The third step is precipitation. Precipitation happens when the water condenses so much that the air has to let it go. The clouds get super heavy, and the water falls back to Earth as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. The fourth step is collection. Collection is when water flows back into oceans, rivers, and lakes. It can also remain on land, where it soaks into the earth. And then the water cycle starts all over again. Let's talk about what we learned. Which step in the water cycle does water vapor turn into clouds? That would be condensation. Which part in the water cycle do clouds get so heavy that water falls to earth in the form of rain, sleet, hail, and snow? That's right, it's precipitation. Which part of the water cycle involves the sun heating up water in lakes, rivers, and oceans and the water turning into water vapor. That's right, evaporation. Now, which part in the water cycle does the water fall into lakes, rivers, and oceans and can also soak into the earth? That part of the water cycle is called collection. Now, don't worry if you got some of these wrong. Just keep learning and keep trying. So, today we talked about growth mindset and fixed mindset and how to deal with those and the water cycle. Now, if you've got some answers wrong on the little quiz that we had, don't worry about it. That just means that we need to find some more resources to study. And CALS has a pretty cool online catalog that you can use. Now, this online catalog are on our catalog computers if you visit the library, and you can go to our website, cals.org, CALS.org. You can also use the free Central Arkansas Library System app as well. But let's just talk about how to get to the online catalog through our website. So first, you're going to go to cals.org, which I have. Now you're going to go to search. So right over here, where the little magnifying glass is, click that. Now, if you want to look for something in our catalog, make sure that you've clicked the circle for catalog. There's also one for website and events, but we're just looking at the catalog today. So now we're going to type in water cycle and see what pops up. Something that you can go ahead and do if you want to put stuff on hold using our catalog is log in. And you can do that by typing in your barcode number that's on the back of your library card. And so I've kind of already signed into this, so I'm going to put in my username that I created when I first logged in and my password. Already we have quite a selection of things to choose from. Over here, you'll see things like books, audiobooks, DVDs, and music CDs. You can also choose things that are new at the library. And then titles you can borrow and take home or access online. And you can even look at the audience. So it looks like we've got 33 items for kids and 2 for adults. Since we're all kids here, I'm going to hit children. And that's really going to help us narrow down what we're looking at. So you can scroll through and see if there are any titles that stand out. So we're just going to look at the first one. So Water Cycle by Monica Hughes. It'll tell you what the item is and what year it was published. It also gives a call number. So a call number is basically the number assigned to a book if it's nonfiction. Now, we use the Dewey Decimal System, so our nonfiction books are ordered that way. And it'll also give the author's last name. Now, if you're doing a fiction book, it's just going to have the author's last name. Now, when I set this up, the first time I logged in, I was able to set up a preferred location. That just means the library that I go to the most. And since I work at the Nixon Library here in Jacksonville, my preferred location is the Nixon Library in Jacksonville. So I'm going to look at Water Cycle by Monica Hughes. It'll give a little paragraph or so about the book, and it'll do publication, the city it was published in, the company, and the year. So if you ever need to use something for research and you have to cite your sources, always cite your sources. This can be a very big help. All right. So I am seeing this is available at the Nixon Library, and it is going to tell me where it is. So JUV, that's juvenile section. I typically recommend the juvenile section for older elementary to middle school kids. You can always hit availability by location and see if there are any other branches that have it. It looks like Nixon is the only branch that does have it, but that's okay. Status is just kind of where the book is. So if the status is check shelf on the shelves in Nixon's juvenile nonfiction section. So that'll let you know if something is available or not. And you can always place a hold on that title. And you can choose where you want your pickup location to be. Since Nixon is my preferred location, it defaults to that. But you can choose any of the branches that we have in our system to pick up holds. So if you're going to be in downtown Little Rock, you can do main library, really anywhere else. Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you learned a few things about how your brain works and how the water cycle works and how to use the library. Remember, keep trying and keep learning. Don't be too hard on yourself. And if you ever need help with finding books on topics, the library is always there for you. We'll see you guys later. Bye!